The highway shimmered under the late afternoon sun like a ribbon of heat and dust, and the silence around the stalled luxury car felt heavier than the traffic rushing past. For Maribel Cross, success had always been loud: boardrooms, applause, engines roaring to life, but here, on the shoulder of an endless road, it was painfully quiet. The hood of her car stood open like a question she could not answer, and for the first time in years, she felt small, stranded, and unsure whether help would ever come. That was the moment when a tiny presence stepped into her world and changed everything. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, take a second to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Also tell us in the comments where you are watching from. It truly means a lot to our community. Maribel had built an empire by refusing to slow down. She was known across the city as the woman who turned failing companies into gold, who flew between continents without blinking, who trusted numbers more than people and engines more than promises. That afternoon, she had been driving herself, refusing a driver so she could feel the road and clear her head after a bruising meeting. The car had been flawless until it wasn't. A shudder, a warning light, a smell of hot metal, and then the humiliating glide to a stop on the shoulder, her phone battery blinking its last %. As cars rushed by, she weighed the cost of waiting against the unfamiliar discomfort of asking a stranger for help. The sun dipped lower, painting the hills in amber and casting long shadows that made the guardrail look like a boundary she could not cross. Maribel sat beside the front wheel, shoes set neatly aside, jacket folded with the same precision she used to arrange her life. She tried to think logically. Roadside assistance would come. Someone would stop. Everything had a solution. Yet the minutes stretched, and with them came memories she usually kept buried, a childhood of patched shoes, her mother's tired hands, the vow she made never to be helpless again. Being stranded was not just inconvenient, it reopened an old fear she thought she had conquered. That was when she noticed them, a man and a small girl walking along the shoulder at a careful distance from the road. The man's posture carried the wear of honest labor, his hands rough, his shirt faded by many washes. The little girl moved with a seriousness beyond her years, pointing occasionally at passing cars as if studying the world. They slowed when they reached the open hood, not with curiosity, but with concern. The men paused, scanning the road, measuring risk the way people who live close to it learn to do. Maribel felt an instinctive urge to wave them on, to protect the thin wall between her life and theirs, but the girl stepped closer with an unafraid steadiness that startled her. The child was named Anaya, though Maribel would only learn that later. In that moment, she was simply a small figure in a simple dress, eyes bright with focus, arm raised to indicate the silent engine. There was no judgment in her gaze, no awe at the badge on the car, only the practical attention of someone who saw a problem and believed it could be fixed. The man hovered nearby, ready to pull her back if danger came too close, yet he allowed her that one step forward. Something in the air softened. The noise of the highway receded. Maribel found herself meeting the child's eyes, expecting pity or fear, and finding instead a calm certainty. The assurance the girl offered did not come as a boast or a miracle, but as a simple belief that help existed because people existed. The idea that her father could fix what was broken landed in Maribel's chest with unexpected weight. She had spent years believing that only money, influence, and control could solve problems. Here was a child who believed in hands, patience, and the willingness to try. The man explained, quietly and without pride, that he repaired farm equipment and old cars when neighbors needed it, that they were walking home from the store, that he could take a look if Maribel wished. There was no sales pitch, no expectation. Just an offer. Trust did not come easily to Maribel, but something in the girl's steady pointing and the man's careful movements cut through her defenses. She nodded. The man examined the engine with the focus of someone who listened to machines the way others listen to people. He checked connections, traced lines, and wiped his hands on a cloth worn thin by years of use. Anaya stood nearby, her small finger tracing the outline of the car's shape in the air, as if mapping a path back to motion. Time passed differently then, measured not in minutes but in breaths. When the man asked for a tool he did not have, Maribel felt a flicker of helplessness again, quickly followed by relief when he adapted, improvising with calm creativity. The engine did not roar to life right away. There were moments when it seemed impossible, when the sun slid closer to the horizon and the road grew colder. Maribel watched, aware of the strange intimacy of the scene, a woman accustomed to command sitting on asphalt, a man working without expectation, a child believing without doubt. In that fragile triangle, something shifted inside her. She thought of the people she had overlooked, the hands she had never shaken, the voices she had tuned out because they did not speak her language of profit and speed. When the engine finally caught, it did not announce itself with drama. It hummed, tentative and alive, like a promise whispered rather than shouted. Relief washed over Maribel, followed by gratitude so sharp it surprised her. She reached for her wallet, instinct guiding her toward compensation, but the man gently refused with a shake of his head that carried dignity, not pride. He accepted instead a bottle of water and a heartfelt thank you, and Anaya accepted a smile that mirrored her own belief that the world could be kind if you let it. They parted as simply as they had met. The man and the girl continued down the shoulder, their figures growing smaller against the glowing hills. Maribel sat for a moment longer, hands on the steering wheel, breathing in the quiet. She did not drive away immediately. She watched until they disappeared, carrying with them a lesson she could not ignore. If this story is touching your heart, if it reminds you of the goodness that still exists in unexpected places, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and stay connected with Kindness Corner. In the weeks that followed, Maribel could not shake the image of a small hand pointing toward a problem with confidence instead of fear. She began to slow down, to listen, to ask questions without calculating the return. She funded a roadside assistance program that hired local mechanics, people who knew the roads and the communities along them. She visited the farms outside the city, not for publicity, but to learn names and stories. When she finally found Anaya and her father again, it was not with fanfare, but with a quiet thank you and an offer of support that respected their independence. Before we reach the end, leave a comment sharing one moment when a stranger's kindness changed your day. Your story might inspire someone else. On another golden afternoon, Maribel drove that same highway, the engine steady, the road familiar yet transformed. She no longer saw it as a stretch to conquer, but as a place where lives crossed and meaning could be found in a simple gesture. Somewhere ahead, a child would point toward a problem and believe in a solution, and because of that belief, a woman learned that wealth was not the absence of need, but the presence of care. If this story moved you even a little, please engage with it from the heart. Your likes, comments, and shares help kindness travel farther than any car ever could.